So you can find 卤水, Chinese master stock, all around China, from Chaozhou to Chongqing to Luoyang. It's basically a heavily spiced and seasoned stock that got its color from either soy sauce or caramel, and the final result is, of course, pretty tasty. So 卤水 being a common cooking technique, you can find its namesake shops all around China from Yunnan to the Cantonese world. In these shops, you choose the stew stuff you want, cut it up, and eat it in as many ways as there are ways to eat stuff in China. From mixing it and splashing it with chili oil to eating it as a set meal over rice to shuffle it into a flatbread and creating a sandwich-like object. But in pockets of Guizhou province, there's the style of 卤水 shops that I've never seen before. And this one was in Qianxi, a small town a little bit west of the provincial capital of Guiyang. In these 卤水 shops, they also have lots of stewed tofus and meats like you would usually see at other 卤水 shops. But in Qianxi, what they do is that they will also cook their rice noodles in the master stock itself, which it's actually really genius. Then the noodles is topped with your chosen stew stuff, a little bit of the master stock as a soup base, and a bit of a herbaceous topping for the Qianxi style. It's awesome. You have to try it, and this is how to make it. Now, the base of this thing will be a Guizhou-style 卤水 master stock. Annoyingly, there's not much information out there on the Guizhou style, as is the same case for most Guizhou dishes. So we got a bag of general Guizhou 卤水 spice online and analyzed the mix, and then base our recipe off a Sichuan-style 卤水, which should be quite similar. Now, master stock practically always has a pretty intense mix of spices. Some of this, if you can't find, it's okay, you can skip. But these guys are mandatory. If you can't find these ones, just don't make it, make something else. And the other two heavily suggested spices are 草果 and 陈皮 dry and aged tangerine peels. And if you can get this four, if at all possible, do use them because they do bring out that last 10% of unique fragrance. But if you can't find them, you can skip them because I understand they are pretty hard to source outside of China. And being a stock, this will also need some meat for a base flavor. What you would definitely want is 500 grams of skin on pork belly and 1 kilo of either pork bone cut open like this, or pork ribs. Besides that, it really depends on what other meat you want to add into your master stock. For us today, we also added 6 chicken drumettes. But wings might be nice, or thighs, or pork knuckles, or tongue, which is actually really, really good in a master stock. Then we'll blanch those in a wok, start with cool water that's enough to basically submerge, and bring it to a boil. Once the meats changed color, take them out and rinse off the gunk. Then take the pork belly, slice it into roughly 2-inch pieces, and put them back in with other meat. The other classic element for a Guizhou and Sichuan style 卤水 master stock, unlike a Cantonese one, they rely on 糖色 caramel for the color. To make it in a clean wok, add in 2 tablespoons of lard or schmaltz. Then heat on medium-low, toss in 80-gram rock sugar or white granulated sugar, and slowly fry them together. First, the sugar will melt, then the color will slowly darken. And when it gets to the caramel color and foaming up big bubbles like this, get the bravest person in the house. Yes, because it's scary. And add in 2 liters of boiling hot water in right away. Please do remember to use boiling hot water to avoid kitchen disaster or get burned just with the 200-degree sugar. Now with the color liquid, pour it into your stewing pot with all the meat inside. Then toss in 30 grams scallion gently tied into a knot, 20 grams slightly smashed ginger, all the spices in a tea strainer or wrapped in a cheesecloth, together with 25 grams salt, 15 grams sugar, 20 grams dark soy sauce, and 40 grams Shaoxing wine. Now bring everything to a heavy boil, then turn the heat to the lowest your stove will go. Cover and leave to stew for 2 hours. 2 hours later, we are gonna take the drumettes out. If you're stewing wings or other small meat pieces, take them out if you don't want them to disintegrate. Also, at this time, our master stock it's already pretty flavorful, so we can put in some other stuff that doesn't provide flavor to the stock, like tofu, hard-boiled egg, etc. And now cover and let it stew for another 2 hours. As we are approaching the end of our 4-hour stewing process, there should be a pretty thick layer of oil on top of our master stock. Now take a flat spoon, patiently skim off that layer of oil. I managed to get about a quarter cup of delicious lu shui oil off it, and now we'll reserve it for our final noodle serving. And after skimming, we are gonna put in some junky stuff for the full Lu Fen shop experience. So here are a couple hot dogs and beef balls. Toss them in, bring everything back to a boil and turn to low again. And stew this kind of ready-made meat products for about 10 to 15 minutes. And now, after all this time, our master stock stew is ready. And it's also at this point, we want to adjust it for a home kitchen. Because noodle soups can be challenging to serve, like you see at the noodle shops or on the street, because they have all those special setups to just churn up noodles, bowls after bowls in a flash. So what we like to do for eating at home is serving cooked noodles in little individual serving bowls, maybe have a little extra on the side. Then heat up the lu shui stew in a clay pot or whatever keeps heat and have toppings around it on the sides so that this way everybody can just assemble their own noodles at the table. So first, let's transfer our stew stuff into a good-looking serving pot together with most of the stock. Leaving about 1 cup's worth in our stewing pot, top it up with 2 cups of water, bring it to a boil, quickly blanch some napa first if you want some veg, then toss in our rice noodles. So we are using fresh rice noodles here. If you are using dry rice noodles, you need to pre-soak them with hot water until they are completely softened. Or you can use instant noodle, or you can pre-cook some other kinds of other noodles. And now I'm gonna quickly let the rice noodle cook in the stock to absorb the flavor, then heat off and portion them out in the serving bowls. Then put the noodle cooking soup in a separate bowl for people to use up at the table because it's still pretty tasty. Oh, and before we start digging in, let's not forget our herbaceous spicy topping. So just combine 20 grams scallion with 30 grams fish wort together with 2 tablespoons toasted chili flakes, an eighth teaspoon each of salt and MSG, and finally mix in 3 tablespoons each light soy sauce and drinking water. So then at the table, if you want to cosplay Lu Fen shop owner, you can cut things up for people or they can serve themselves. And then you add some of that lu shui liquid into your noodles, maybe top it up with a bit more master stock from the serving pot if you need. And then toss on the topping and a bit of the chili sauce and that delicious oil that we skimmed off from the lu shui earlier. And now this is your Lu Fen. Enjoy! So the town Qianxi is this charming little town west of Guiyang for about half an hour train ride. It has a very lovely and vast walkable old town. Besides the delicious Lu Fen shops, there's also this burning dumplings that is night market, which is certainly a spectacle. And qianxi is also a popular jumping off point for some gorgeous scenic spots around it. So if you find yourself in Guiyang and looking for somewhere else to go, do consider qianxi. It's definitely worth the trip. So right, check out the recipe in the description box. A big thank you for everyone that's supporting us on Patreon, and of course, subscribe for more Chinese cooking videos.